So, like I always say, I don't just want to have a regular live streaming show and just talk about the things that we always talk about. So, like sometimes you may hear me talk about stepping, you may hear me talk about religion, you may hear me talk about spirituality, or you may hear me as far as our new concept, as far as let me drop something on you. That's usually something we sharing as far as quotes or thoughts or some concept that we may have experienced and we want to share. So, like today or earlier today, you heard me share something called ego integrity. And that's dealing more with people 65 and older. And what ego integrity deals with is it deals with psychology as far as aging. Because what happens or what they've discovered, I forget the guy named Henderson or somebody shared it with me, an expert or authority on it shared it with me, and he dealt with 65 and older and how from between the time you make 65 and on that you deal with ego integrity. And what it is that you either going to reflect on your successes or you're going to regret or be in despair about the things that you felt you could have done in life or you should have done in life, which you'll find that a lot of us deal with from time to time. So we have to keep that separation. So I just want to share that with people that's probably in my age group, because sometimes we don't understand why you might encounter people that's pretty much seem that they're looking for the boat to come in, when a lot of times when you're dealing with ego integrity, you know that your ship has already came in. So the things that you succeeded at, and you focus on those things, and you find a little bit more joy and happiness in what you succeeded at throughout your life. So it's like really reflecting, not so much as what you could have did, but what you actually did. So it's like you may see that you had 100 successes compared to maybe 10 failures. So that's pretty much a good statistic to take your walks or to reflect on your life, opposed to when it's in the reverse order, where we are constantly dwelling on the regrets of if I had a did this, if I had a did that. So that's something that somebody shared with me. Understanding the difference between authority and authoritative. And that's sometimes where we confuse things. So it's just like in the stepping community, a lot of times we are experience a person with an authoritative attitude. And what authoritative is actually after is to dominate, to control, where there's the authority, who a lot of times authoritative people hide behind authority. So authority, you may be an expert on something, or you may be well versed in it, or you may be an intellectual about it, whether it's a discipline or a talent or a skill. You may be an expert on it, but you have this authoritative attitude. And that means that no one can challenge you on your information. No one can question you, because your objective is dominance opposed to leadership. Say in the military, you can have an authority in a particular rank that has an authoritative attitude. And that's often where you might experience racism, or you might experience something toxic or negative, because a lot of times people with an authoritative attitude has that controlling mechanism taking place, and they have that don't question me. They all about dominance. And usually if you push too hard with them, you're going to either get discarded or you're going to have to discard them, because they're very forceful with it. So I was taught that you are not here to correct authoritative people, but you also mustn't surrender to authoritative people, because it's a control thing, it's a power thing. So understanding the difference between authority and authoritative. And the reason I brought it up is because a lot of conflict or a lot of controversy that I've had in the dance community often revolved around those two differences, as well as religion. You will find in religion that you will have a conflict around those two differences: authority and authoritative. So it's like one is communicating instruction and leadership, and the other one is communicating dictatorship or control. So you got to be careful in every aspect of life. without understanding those two differences, because you can confuse the two, because sometimes one hides behind the other. The authoritative person will hide behind authority and operate from there from a covert position. So it's like covert activity, and you will see they're like chameleons. Chameleon can change or morph into different disguises or mask. So what they will do is they're hiding behind this authority, but they're very authoritative. And sometimes you find that that's some of the problems in when you're dealing with social justice and things like that, because you may have an authority figure that misused that authority by acting in a very authoritative manner. So it was no room for uh, seeing what's really going on. It's just, I'm authoritative, so I'm gonna drop this. I'm gonna drop this hammer on you, opposed to cooperating and finding out what's really going on. So it's the same thing when you're working on teams, communication teams, and these are some of the things that we cover as far as IDSS is problem solving. Is that you understand that in some situations it's one discipline or an authority in one discipline acting as authoritative in the mechanisms of a team trying to accomplish a certain task. So until you solve that problem and address that problem, you can't get anything done. You can't produce anything. So you hear me a lot of dancers, a lot of people that's ever worked with me know that I will always ask them the time frame. What have we produced? Because usually if you are non-productive, if you just talking and you just having a lot of stuff, like if we just talking about what we're going to do, you run into it in every genre. But I'm only speaking of the genres I've operated in during the time that I've been doing what I do. You'll find that there's a lot of talk about what you can do, what you might do, what you want to do, what you're going to do down the road. But when you say, well, where is the where things have actually materialized, whether it's as an individual or a group, you will see that nothing has materialized. It's nothing there. So the objective is not to find out who to blame for that. It's not to say, well, the photographer did this, or the spokesperson did that, or the social media manager did that, or the director did that. The thing to look for is who is the authoritative figure that's holding everybody up, because that is the problem that you will find, that authoritative figure is the problem. They are the problem because they don't want to hear what the photographer has to say, or the social media manager has to say, or the spokesperson have to say. They have one tunnel vision like a dictator, and that is holding everything up. So you will find that when you solve that problem, you will solve the problem and you will start to produce content and deliver that content for whoever your client is, even if it's yourself. You will get stuff done. So understanding the difference between those two figures, authority and authoritative, you can understand sometimes what's holding you up. I have a problem with authoritative attitudes. So authority, I've always respected authority because I was in the military. So even if you don't like a person, that's still the captain. That's still the executive officer. That's still the ensign. That's still the chief. That's still the first class. And even as a petty officer, a lot of times I have people under me. You have to respect the position. So that's authority. I have a respect for authority, but authoritative, you had what you call unlawful orders and things like that. Authoritative will give you an unlawful order. It will tell you to do something that it don't have the authority to tell you to do. And sometimes you will run into that no matter where you are, because this person is set on, I know, and nobody else knows. Nobody else knows. And if you notice, you can't ask them any questions. You can never ask them any questions. You can never challenge them on anything. So you got to walk pretty soft, but you can't surrender your power, and you can't let them devalue you or reduce you down, because that is the objective, is to dominate and control you for their personal benefit. See, and usually that's what you'll find with authoritative attitudes. They operating for their personal benefit. So I could talk on forever. These are just the things that we share, how you solve problems on communication teams, how you solve problems on media teams, the things that we focus on. And sometimes that require cultural identity, that require a lot of different moving parts in order for you to get the things done that you're trying to get done, no matter big or small. So I'm just sharing those things with you. As we showed you, we got the websites and things that we want you to tap into if you can. And that is just something based on, say, ego, what I shared with you, ego integrity. So I'm not here to try to recall the past or make up for the past. This is just a passion that I have. And I just like sharing it with people that have the same common interest, because when I reflect on my successes, yeah, I had some things I dropped the ball on, but we all do. But you can't get into your golden years and be waiting on your ship to come in and regretting what went wrong in your relationships and what went wrong here. And you can't change the past, but you can reflect on your successes, your blessings, and all the things that we should be happy about, which makes our golden years all the worthwhile, because we did vision retirement, or we did vision getting old. It's a blessing to get older. So you want to know, what is the legacy that you leaving, or what is the knowledge that you had to share? How can you bless someone in your golden years while you're still able to do so? And I just happen to do that through these platforms that I have. And that's what I'm going to continue to do, without falling prey to authoritative attitudes that think that your life or your successes or your knowledge or expertise is for their personal benefit. I'll do anything for God. I'll do anything for people. I have empathy. I have compassion. I have all those things. I was taught those things. That don't mean I'm perfect. But when it's individuals that confuse what I want to do for God and others with what I need to do for them, you're going to always have a problem out of me. And you got people who can witness that based on the genres and environments that I've operated in, because I've always had respect for authority. But anybody will tell you authoritative attitudes, you're gonna get a problem from me. You're gonna have a problem. You're gonna have conflict with me. You're gonna experience controversy. And it's not gonna be turbulent. It's not gonna be argumentative. It's gonna be cool. And at some point, no matter how long, there's gonna be a discard. But the difference in me and others, as far as discard, whether I'm being discarded or I'm initiating discard, is I know it's coming. See, because I understand the process. My name is Dan Land Pro. It's always a pleasure. Stay tuned. Peace.